Hi everyone, it's Mari here for Honeybee Stamps. I'm going to be creating a card today showing you how to create different textures with different products. And I'm going to be using this beautiful patterned paper from the Vintage Love paper pad. I'm also going to be using this scallop die from the Lace Heart Layering Frames die set. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere this frame onto this gorgeous patterned paper and run that through my die cutting machine just to create a card front for my A2 size top folding card base that I'm going to be working with today. So I'll just go ahead and take some Easy C tape and tape that down and run that through my die cutting machine. I'm also going to be using the rattan basket die set. This is such a fun set. I love it so much. It's actually a die set that I think is really just a go-to die for your collection. Now I am going to die cut these two pieces out from this die set from white cardstock, and then I'm going to put them onto my Altenew grip mat, and I'm going to add some color with a blending brush and some antique linen Distress Oxide ink. So this Distress Oxide ink is just going to create just a really nice soft color on that rattan basket. And I'm also going to add a little bit of Scorched timber oxide ink around the edges just to create that little bit of depth and dimension, almost like a little bit of shading on there, just to create that little bit more of a 3D look. So I love the texture that this die adds to my card front. You'll notice that the die creates just some really cool lines and openings or holes in that paper. So really cool. I'm taking some thin foam squares and I'm going to put those just around the three edges of the basket, the two sides and the bottom. And that's going to keep the basket open in the center and allow me to stuff this with some different plant life. And so I'm going to go ahead and stick those two layers together. Again, adding that little bit of foam adhesive creates even more texture and dimension on your project. Now I am using the pint-sized pouncers from Picket Fence Studio to add the ink onto these die cut pieces that I've die cut from the Lovely Layers Autumn Bouquet set. I started off with a little bit of Shabby shutters and then some forest moss, and now I'm finishing that off with some scattered straw. And I'm going to go ahead and add those topper pieces from this greenery piece onto the base layer, just using, again, a little bit of thin foam adhesive to give this more texture and dimension. So just going to use my tweezers to go ahead and add that on, and then that piece will be finished. I'm going to just continue that same method and technique with the same colors of greens. And I think I also add in a little bit of fossilized amber for the yellows as well on this topper piece for this one that's in the center. But again, the Shabby shutters and forest moss for the green, just tapping and pouncing that color on. I love that the grip mat holds my cardstock for the most part. I probably should have cleaned it a little bit better before I started today. And then I'm just going to tap on that fossilized amber to those top pieces and adhere those onto the Lovely Layers base. And again, this is the Autumn Bouquet Lovely Layers die cuts I'm using here that I just die cut from white cardstock and then added the oxide inks. Now you can just see how the bouquet fits nicely into that rattan basket. I'm just going to use a little bit of thin foam adhesive squares on the backs of these different greenery pieces, as well as on the back of the rattan basket. And then I will go ahead and adhere that onto the patterned paper. I love the texture that that patterned paper adds to my card. I think that paper is just so stunning, and it was definitely the inspiration for the color palette that I chose today for my ink blending. Now there you can see I tied a little bit of twine and ribbon around my card front here, and that just creates that little bit of extra beautiful texture. Now the sentiment set I'm using today is the Best of Everything sentiment set. This is one of the, I think, the all-time best sentiment sets Honeybee has come out with. The sentiments are beautiful in here, just some really nice ones for friendship and sending warm and fuzzy thoughts to people that you love for sure. I chose the Big Hug sentiment. I'm using my Honeybee Stamps Intense Black ink to stamp out this stamp onto some white cardstock. I'm using the coordinating die from that set to die cut out the sentiment. Now this is the Honeybee Stamps Bee Shimmery Liquid Watercolor. It is fantastic. I've spritzed a little bit of that on, and I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of white paint on just to create a little bit of sparkle sparkle and shine, and again, just a little bit more texture. I'm going to go ahead and just decide here where I want my big hugs to be placed, and I will just add a little bit of foam adhesive onto the backs of each one of these different sentiment words to create that little bit of extra texture and dimension as well. So I'll go ahead and place those down. And just to add that last little bit of texture to my project, I'm going to add some gems. These are from I think these are from the Vintage Love collection. I will make sure that I link up these gem stickers to the description box, along with all of the other products that I used for my project today. You can find those all down in the description box below the video in the show more section, where it will take you right to the Honeybee shop, where you can shop for any of these different products that I've linked to today for my project. So I'm just fussing around with those amber colored gems just to make sure I have those placed where I want them. And once I'm finished, that is going to finish off my card today. Friends, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you were inspired to create a little bit of texture on your projects in the future. Have an amazing day, and I will see you again next Friday. Bye-bye.